Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's Stormy B Man, and I am back. Welcoming you to the Tuesday Tussle for this Tuesday, November 11th, 2025. This is an episode that we're calling Practice Makes Perfect. Yeah. Welcome, everybody, as we are live on Stormy B Man channel, as well as the Stormy B Man Rumble channel. Yeah, we're trying to get the hang of this multi-streaming thing because we want to exercise all of our options as we try to reach the masses. Yeah, and as we begin to do that, we seek to broaden not only the horizons, but broaden the scope of perspective, because we understand that there are factions out here on Google and YouTube that just do not want certain content creators to prosper. There are biases, there are prejudice and discriminations that we deal with on a day in and day out basis. But again, having options means that you can still find a way to get the job done. And remember, never quit, because practice makes perfect. Yeah. So, welcome everybody. I hope that you've had a strong, wonderful day of reflection. There are military veterans out there that this day has been set aside for. And for those who have served and continue to serve with constitutional rights at the forefront of their directives, may they be well cared for and blessed, because we do know how things work out here. Now, to get into the show, I came up with the idea of speaking on practice makes perfect last week. And going into this weekend, we had bouts that really gave us some examples of how and why that old adage is important. You see, when you put effort into your actions, when you put purpose into your actions, you will find success driven forward. You will find it. Beginning last Friday night, there was a fight card on ProBox TV where we saw Nick Flash take on Delonte Johnson, welterweights. This was an opportunity to see these two men step forward and give forth the type of effort for future consideration for contention. The welterweight division is growing. Coming up in a little more than a week, we have a dynamic fight on the horizon where we'll see Devin Haney challenge Brian Norman Jr. for Norman's WBO title. Once again, thinking about what's important. The growth of the division. And these men are working hard, steadfast at their crafts because they do recognize practice makes perfect in order to be able to go out there and do your best to put your efforts to the forefront. It's exciting, and it's an exciting time for the sport of boxing because there's a lot going on, people. A lot. I like to find out exactly how people really feel about all of this. Because we're going to have some people out here who are going to take sides, pick who they want. But I'm telling you to look at the overall landscape because the practices, the men who are working hard in the gym, their payoff will show. Going back to that Flies Johnson fight from Friday night. There were people who weren't necessarily excited to tune in to that. But what was very exciting is these are two men, Flies being from Puerto Rico, 29 years of age, Johnson being 27. And they had strong records. Flies entered 15-1, Johnson entered 15-0. And this is the thing. Johnson has moved up from 140, where he was kind of lackluster. But since moving up to 147, he has shown some spunk. He has shown some power, stamina, and excitement. I think that he has a rededicated mindset toward his craft, and it's showing in his work. Flies, who has been campaigning but not facing the type of opposition until he faced Johnson to really see where he is. And we found out quickly the separation between the two. Haney and Norman Jr., the winner of that fight, needs to be on alert for young fighters like Delonte Johnson. And even Nick Flies can bounce back. So they're going to have to hone their craft, go into the gym, study up, and know who they're facing. Yeah. They're going to need to do that. Want to acknowledge who we got in the building this evening. Adrian Vietta's out there early. Del Riv's out there. Chilltown Majors. Universal is back with us, and Tay-Tay, the real queen of MMA and combat talk. Yeah. Jimmy Bernard just popped in, and my brother, Junior the Truth, is in the building saying the loser needs to be on alert as well. Hey, Junior, you ain't never lied, bro. You know what I'm saying? Because there's going to be no time for like taking it easy, right? Because the sharks are circling, man. But don't we love this when it comes to the sport of boxing? Competitiveness, man, will light a fire under these guys. Check this out. In the early 80s, there were a slew of heavyweights, and we had multiple heavyweight titles. It was always the WBA and WBC, soon to be joined by the IBF. Larry Holmes actually gave up his WBC title in favor of representing the newly founded IBF. So he never lost his title as heavyweight champion. He just changed sanctioning bodies, basically. But opposite Holmes, there were guys like Greg Page, Tim Witherspoon. I'm trying to think back because it's dated. Jerry Cosia and others. These men all campaigned around the top of the division, and they were in and out of bouts with one another. Coetzee was fighting out of South Africa, which still had apartheid going on, and there were fighters who didn't want to go over there to face him. So he fought the likes of Michael Dokes and Greg Page, and there was a lot of drama behind those circumstances. And why I'm mentioning this is because we're talking about practice makes perfect. There was a drop-off in the heavyweight division with the competitors because there were guys who got introduced to drugs. And I'm talking about recreational drugs like, you know, smack and some of that other stuff, the Coca-Cola, you know. And it affected their careers. It affected their conditioning and performances. Until Cus D'Amato released a young, hopeful upstart who they felt that could bring excitement back to the division, since an aging Larry Holmes was kind of on his way away from the sport. And eventually he did drop the title to former light heavyweight champion Michael Spinks. Who moved up to the heavyweight division to dethrone Holmes twice in a row to cement his place, and was the first light heavyweight champion to become the heavyweight champion of the world. First reigning light heavyweight champion to become heavyweight champion. But when Mike Tyson came along, those fighters who were out of shape on the drugs, had lethargic careers, weren't taking things serious, all of a sudden, seeing Mike Tyson chew through the division's cast-offs and former challengers, he lit a fire under people because no one wanted to get in the ring opposite he and get embarrassed. Boxing is going through something similar right now. Bernard 149 says, "What's good, Sensei? Here in Rumble." Yes, sir. That's good, man. Appreciate you being over there, supporting me over there. I posted, I pinned the link to the Rumble at the top of the chat there. I would like everyone who can possibly do so follow me on Rumble, because I will be putting content over there through multi-streams and exclusives. So that's one of the reasons that you'll need to be signed up to follow me on Rumble. Yeah. Let me see here. Salute. Let's see. Yeah, because we're going to do our best, man, to keep things optional for people. Yeah. My brother, Blue Blood Sports TV, what's going on with you, man? Salute to you as well, brother. Good to see you out there. We're talking about practice, Blue Blood. Practice? You mean practice? Shout out to Allen Iverson. And you know, you can tell those who are working on their craft, because on fight night, they can make things, even against stiff opposition, look fairly easy. But I'm going to tell you, or give you an example of what's no longer the make of order when it comes to fighters entering the ring for their opposition. And since Blue Blood is in the chat, let me share something. I got something out here I want to show you guys. Got this from Blue Blood. Hope you don't mind, Blue, but I'm going to share this with everybody that's out there. Some clips of the champ, Deontay, working out in the gym, because we're talking about practice, huh? And the irony is, Blue is in here this evening, and I had this queued up to show it to you guys, but Blue is the original person to upload this. And since it was the champ working hard, I just thought I would, kind of remind people. Yeah, but talking about getting prep for a fight, if you notice, guys that are coming to the ring today, they're coming to the ring bone dry, people. Bone dry. Body, when they take their top off, whether it's a robe, a towel, some kind of garment that they had made custom for their appearance in the ring, these people are entering the bouts and they're not warmed up. And they don't seem to crack a sweat until the third or fourth round, Some of them, just like this past weekend, can barely get out of the first or second round, like in the case of Erickson Lubin. With all that focus on the attire of looking like a mariachi member, he wasn't sweated up, warmed up, ready to go. And that may be one of the key leads into how the night was over early for him. You heard me a moment ago mentioning Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson used to enter the ring sometimes with a towel over him, a ripped towel, sometimes just bare-chested. But he would walk through the audience from his dressing room. And you know, sometimes those stadiums, they're AAC. You know, Tyson would have a full frothing sweat going when he entered those ropes. He was ready. And that was key to his success. When the bell rang, he pounced. His opponents were always on the back foot and on the heels because they were trying to brace themselves for an onslaught. But maybe had they been ready and sweated up and warmed up properly, they could have met force with force. But that was not the case in most of his 30-something victories, where he was just chowing through the division. Now, having a guy that's lubed up, with the baby oil or whatever they put on them to shine their skin, that's not sweat. Boxers used to shadow box in the dressing room and warm up. Several rounds of shadow boxing, like they used to do in the gym, because these guys in the gym today, they're not shadow boxing a lot. They're hitting those pads. Like you see Deontay hitting these pads right now with Malik Scott on his imagery. But doing 15 rounds of shadow boxing will get you to a point where your body will warm up. So when you're in the dressing room, you know how many rounds of shadow boxing you need to get going before you get that heated sweat going in your body. Practice makes perfect. Blue Blood is asking, who you got in Norman versus Haney, OG? Listen, my breakdown video will be next week. I ain't giving out no key signs just yet, because there's still a little bit to look at before we get to the door. My video will release Friday the 21st. Yeah, I know who I got in my mind, but you gotta tune in to Stormy B Man to get the lowdown. Just like we gotta tune in to Blue Blood Sports TV to get the lowdown. Yes, sir. The Joker says, when you're good at something, never do it for free. Shout out to the Joker from The Dark Knight. Convos with Cam, salute to you. Peace and blessings to you as well. Thank you. Yeah. You know, watching guys work out in the gym the proper way, there's something that you could get from all of that. But when they're doing it the proper way, they get warmed up, they get limber. If you practice poorly, you're going to perform poorly when you get in that ring. In these clips of Mike Tyson's, do you guys notice how Mike is throwing fierce, fast combinations? That's what made him so exciting and overwhelming. As he got a little bit older, in his 30s, because he was away for a duration, remember, he stopped throwing combinations. He started loading up with everything. And when you load up, the other person can see what's coming, can anticipate what's coming, brace for what's coming. Yeah. It's important to know that, because when fighters practice with movement, with combination, succession of punches, letting their hands go on the regular, it becomes second nature in the actual bout. You see that upper body movement that Tyson used to have? It was integral, because what happened is he would throw looping and hooking shots, but they would be combinations. And the shots were not always in the same spot. If he threw a left hook to your head, he'd throw a right hook to your body. If he threw a right hook to your head, he'd throw a left hook to the body. If he threw a left-right combo, he would follow up the very next shot with a shot from a different direction. Because when you're throwing with speed, the opponent can't block everything. He's more than likely going to drop his hand or raise his hand, and that's when you throw the follow-up shot in the area which he's no longer protecting. It was a simple philosophy, but it was worked and mastered to perfection with Cuss and Mike. Floyd Patterson, who was trained by Cuss D'Amato, would do that too, but he wasn't as athletically dynamic as Mike Tyson was, nor did he have Mike Tyson's power. Okay, Convos with Cam, I appreciate that. Let me go over there right now and check PayPal, see what we got going. Thank you for reminding me to check. Okay, we got this PayPal donation from Convos with Cam. It says, love your channel and perspective. Appreciate you, Stormy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Convos with Cam. And thank you for checking in and reminding me. Thank you so much. That's real support there. You guys, I can't tell you enough how much it means when you kind of reach out and help me out like that. I can't tell you how much that means. These people wrongfully took my monetization, and I hadn't even done any violations or anything. They tried to tell me I was reusing content, and lo and behold, I was never reusing anybody's content. They just victimized me like they did so many others, and they thought that it would shut me down, but it just made me do more. I think I'm making quadruple the content that I was creating back then when I had monetization. PGH Big Dog, what's good with you? I see you out there, bro. Yeah, Adrian, you can join the channel membership, but like I said, I have Cash App, I have PayPal, and I also have Patreon, and just started Rumble. So over at Rumble, I'll be able to play certain content with music and everything like that, and it won't be violation for copyright by these people. See, God doesn't close the door without opening up a window, huh? Always remember that. What did I say earlier about never quitting? Never quit. Practice make perfect. I'm still out here doing content. I'm still out here trying to bring the best that I can for you. Yeah, convos with Cam. I agree. And I'm not even crying about that. It's like people can do what they can. You know what I'm saying? But that's what the option is. That's just like if a person decides to join the PayPal, with not join the PayPal, but you exercise the PayPal or Cash App, they're more than welcome to do that. If you join the Patreon, there are paid tiers that you can, decide which tier that you want to be a member under. And that's like once a month. So if you $5 once a month, $10 once a month, that's good stuff because that's just on the month, It ain't like you gotta every time you go there or something, But that's long range support, That's right. Like button and sharing is free. Yep. Hitting that like button. That does more than anything. Sharing and hitting the like button. Because if you guys understood how sharing meant to what we do here, it pushes us up into the algorithms. If you guys open up YouTube and don't see my videos at the top or when you're scrolling and stuff, that's because not enough people are hitting the like button or sharing or whatever. But I'm sure you see plenty of people you don't even subscribe to or whatever. When you open up your feeds, they're right there. See, that's what YouTube does. They pick who they want to. But if you're doing your part, what happens is it changes. They're forced to do something. Yeah. Mr. Shelton, what's good with you? I see you out there, bro. Yeah. Now, I'm going to tell you guys something. This footage that you see Malik Scott working with Deontay, notice how he got Deontay ending every combination with a right hand. That's wrong, people. You're supposed to end your combinations with a left hook or a left jab. The left is supposed to bring you back on balance and back home to continue. Now, the old school trainers would always teach you to finish with the left hook. Even though your right is your power hand, in the case of Deontay Wilder, he's pulling into the final punch with a shot that will leave him wide open for a counter. It's hard to counter a left hook or left jab finishing a combination because you're covered. The right hand leaves you exposed because it's coming from back here. It's the backhand. The left is out front. It could be thrown wide. It could be thrown short. It could be thrown straight. Shouldn't Malik Scott know that? Are y'all listening to me? The subject of tonight is practice makes perfect. And in every one of those sequences, you saw Deontay leading finishing rather his combination with the right hand. When he dropped Fury in that first fight, in that 12th round, he threw a 1-2. Fury got hit with that 2. He cleaned him up with the 3, the left hook, and Fury was on the canvas. Watch this. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just the right hand, last punch. If I was working the pass with Deontay and he threw that right hand as a last punch, I'd slap him with my left hook. Slap him with the left hook. See that? He's wide open. Wide open. Those things mean something, people. They mean a lot. If you're a solid trainer, you're supposed to know that. You can be practicing and be practicing the wrong thing. And repetitive bad habits can lead to repetitive, disappointing performances. I've been saying for years, I've never met Deontay Wilder, would love to meet him one day, but I said for years that I believe he can punch equally as hard with his left as he does his right, because he's a country man, country strong. It's just that the left was underdeveloped. I had a debated conversation with someone who talked about, well, you know, he's got long arms, 82-inch reach. You know, he can't shorten up on his shots. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. There's a Shaw Brothers movie called Shaolin Martial Arts, and it's about Shaolin students who were forced away from the temple, who went out into the provinces and found old masters to teach them certain techniques to counter the Manchus and the Qing. There was a specific style that one of the Shaolin disciples had to learn, played by Chi Kuan Tung. You know, he and Fu Xing had been in these movies together all the time. Chi Kuan Tung was the tall, muscular Shaw Brothers guy, always in the films with Fu Xing. He was learning a technique of how to do basically the 1-inch punch, but to do damage from a close-in proximity through Wing Chun, the strike forward. When the teacher told him, he put his back against the wall, and he had a board that was about 6 feet from him. He pushed the board within 5 feet where he could extend his fist. He told him to punch the board. He punched through the board. You know, great punching power, but that's at range. He put the board within 4 feet of him and told him throw the same punch, and he hit the board, boom, but his punch didn't go through. He said, until you can punch through this board with 4-foot range, you got to practice this every day. So he practiced and practiced, and it took him months. Finally, he broke through the board at 4 feet range, which is just where he bends his elbow. Then he brought the board in closer to him, where it was about 3 feet. So his elbow was almost fully bent, and he was striking like this, he was able to get to a point where he punched through the board at that distance. Then he put the board close up to him where he had to hold his hand, and he was only like an inch away from the board. At that moment, the student was like, man, I could never break it at this distance. The teacher showed him. Stuck his hand straight through there. Now, what I'm getting at when I'm talking about that is practice. Rome was not built in a day, but it fell in a day. Huh? Yeah. How about that? Think about it like this. If you apply yourself consistently, not only can you move beyond what your thoughts and feelings are, the objects within your space will move, because that's God commanded power that God told us that we have. But it takes application. With the way that Deontay Wilder punches, there should be no safe distance for any man or opponent in the ring. And those who have survived and whom he now has defeats by have gotten by because the gentleman wasn't fully prepared with the arsenal that he has. There's so much more he could do. And he's 40 years old now. But I'll tell you something. The last thing to go is a punch. George Foreman won the heavyweight championship of the world at the age of 40. Huh? The right hand that George hit Michael Moore with to put him to sleep, to lift the titles off of him, was a short right hand, compact punch, right behind a blinding jab, right pinpoint precise on Michael Moore's chin. Black Martial Arts Society, what's good, brother? The whole point of this show, talking about practice makes perfect. This particular image that I have on the screen is of Julio Cesar Chavez and Pernell Sweet Pea Whitaker in their primes facing one another. The ultimate contrasting of styles, Mexican style against an athletic black fighter with dexterity and agility. Southpaw against orthodox. Boxer against puncher. Mobile against flat-footed. Derek Gaines, what's good with you, brother? I see you out there. This is why it's important. The ultimate contrast right here in front of you. I keep telling people all the time, watch the sport of boxing. There is so much to learn, so much to be revealed, so much to be taken in, so much fortification. If you're constantly waiting for the same old dudes, Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson, I mean, you're going to miss the show. You ever seen a watermelon when it's been sliced? And you have the rind. The best of that watermelon is right before you get to that little strip along the rind. Huh? So flavorful, so juicy. Some people like to cut all of the red portions away from there, chop them up, and then eat that. The rind serves a purpose, though, even though that's not meant to be devoured. It's still important. That's just like with other citrus fruits. Grapefruit, oranges, lemons. The peel is every bit as important. The application of it, the usage of it is every bit important. You know, when I first captured this image of Julio and Sweet Pea, because it looks like a close-up taken from outside the ring, but it's a great moment between the two. Both paused for action, looking at any moment that either guy would spring into whatever their intent is. A tremendous moment. And you know what's interesting? They both look ready for the other, don't they? Julio has his eyes fixed on him, and Sweet Pea looks like he has his body braced for whatever Julio's going to do. How do you think they get to that point? Practice? Think about it. What has been tonight's subject? Getting back to fighters entering the ring with a sweat. The old trainers used to like for a fighter to have just broken that sweat and put his robe on when he's headed to the ring, and don't take that robe off until they get ready to come together for the instructions from the referee. If a fighter has warmed up properly, by the end of the first round and entering into the second round, you should see a small swat of sweat on his back, in the center of his back. That's an indication that a fighter has well warmed up. You should be able to begin to see that toward the end of the first round and definitely into the second round. Now tell me, how often have you seen fighters dry as a proverbial bone during the entire first and some of the second round? Or do you have a trained eye to pay attention to those kind of things? Practice makes perfect. I try to talk about these things, but it's like, you know, sometimes you guys, you tune out. You tune out. But it's just something to pay attention to. And just know that, it means a lot when you do pay attention, because you're able to see things. I see only Bernard was over there at the Rumble app this evening, huh? Even though it says it had 3 people viewing over there. Don't be bashful. Write in the chat. Let Stormy know you're there supporting, man. Stop being a creep peeping through the blinds and bushes, huh? You got a raincoat on too? That's right, Derek Gaines. They don't warm up. They do not. But see, when I talk about these things, sometimes people think I'm just being harsh on the fighters and all of this. I'm like, man, please. Really? Hmm. Well, you guys, that's about it for this evening. I think I've talked enough, but I gave you some pretty solid examples of practice making perfect. I've showed some clips of heavyweight champion Mike Tyson training and WBC heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder training. Practice making for perfection. So I'm gonna get ready to get on up out of here. Black Martial Arts Society saying, Boyd was really dry when he came out for Spence. I noticed that. I mean, some of the top fighters of today aren't beyond doing what I'm talking about. Guys coming to the ring dry, guys coming to the ring dry. When a guy comes usually with a full frothing sweat and he's got sweat running from his head, he's got sweat running down his chest, and he got his robe on, you can see his body is glistening with sweat. Those guys don't usually get knocked out in the first 2 rounds. Almost never. Almost never. Antoine Reed, what's good with you, man? I know who you are. You finally wrote in the chat, so now I can give you a wrench, brother. Salute to you, brother Antoine. I'll give you a wrench, bro. I've been waiting on you. I've been waiting on you, bro. What's good with you, man? Took all that time to write in the chat. I was told you'd be out there. I say, well, I ain't seen him. You don't write in the chat. You finally wrote in there. Yeah, so I rinsed you up, bro. I rinsed you up. Ravens Nation says he was wet versus Porter. Yeah, there are fights where, but just understand, Mike Tyson used to always come to the ring that way, Rod Neal, what's good with you, brother? Where you been? Salute to you. Y'all popping in here now and Stormy getting ready to go. That ain't gonna keep me online. I got to go. Huh? You can pop in all you want to. Huh? Popping in at the last minute.
What do you think of Negroes?
As good as any white man.
Hey, Rod, I ain't mad at you, bro. That you got it. That comes first. That comes first, huh? That comes first, man. Blue Blood was out there earlier. He asked me who I got with Haney versus Norman. Yeah. Yeah, buddy, man. It's gonna be on and popping next week, ain't it? Oh my goodness. Yeah. Did any of y'all see my live the other morning? What was that, Monday? I did a live Monday morning on my way in. We're going to have to really have some good conversations on this stuff, man. Some real good conversations. Well, you gotta do what you do there, Ravens Nation. It's all. Stick to your guns. All of us can be wrong. All of us. I don't have a crystal ball. And even if I did, I wouldn't want to, use it anyway. I want things to happen naturally. Man. Anyway, so you guys, I'm going to get ready to head on out of here. I thank everybody for tuning in this evening. Thank you for the PayPals, the support on the like buttons. For those who decided to go over there to Rumble and follow me over there, I want to say thank you. And we will continue to try to be as prosperous as we can and grow this brand. So with that being said, I want to say shout out to the mighty LDBC, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Peace to everybody.